Niv Mizzet Parun versus Naheb the Eternal. We've opted to keep this hand. I'm going to go in for Chrome Mox and say OK to the trigger. We'll get rid of Dismiss just because it's the most expensive thing we've got. We'll take a peek at our opponent's hand and draw a card as well. Say OK to that, and we'll get down the Sulphur Falls in tapped and pass it over to our opponent. Let's have a quick look at our opponent's hand. They go for Sol Ring and Detection Tower and Ruby Medallion. They've got Combat Celebrant, Rampaging Ferocidon, Lightning Bolt and Swiftfoot Boot. So they've got quite a fast hand. They've no red in hand though, which hopefully pays off for us. I think we'll have to get down red. I'd like to get down Is It Signet, but I don't think... Oh, actually, we can do that, can't we? And hold up Arcane Denial. Yeah, so that's alright. We are a couple of lands off our Niv Mizzet Parun. Naheb the Eternal is an underrated commander, one that has beaten me up plenty of times. 5 mana, 4/6 with Afflict 3, which is whenever this creature becomes blocked, the defending player loses 3 life. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add a red for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. So it's most likely at least 3 that they're going to be gaining from that, although it's often way more than that. Our opponent gets into a mountain off the top, which is... That's just typical, isn't it? I think we can go for an Arcane Denial on that. It's just too much damage that can come through to us. And it's also multiple combat steps potentially. We draw a card here with Arcane Denial. It does replace itself at your upkeep, but it also gives your opponents a couple of cards as well. Yeah, so we draw during our draw step as well, obviously. Snapcaster Mage isn't awful. I don't really want to use multiple Arcane Denials, but just have to hope our opponent doesn't rip into another mountain off the top. We only know of 2 of the 6 cards in our opponent's hand. And of course they do get into a mountain, but we gave them 3 cards there, including their draw step, so it was pretty obvious that they were going to get into a mountain. Niv Mizzet Parun is 3 blue and 3 red. Can't be countered. It's a 5/5 flyer. It can't be countered. I don't need to remember that because it's on my side of the field, but typically speaking, I don't ever remember that when I'm against Niv Mizzet Parun. Whenever we draw a card, it deals a damage to anything. And whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery, we draw a card. Rampaging Ferocidon is Menace. We can't gain life. Right, enters the battlefield. 1 damage to that creature's controller. Snapcaster Mage onto Arcane Denial isn't awful here, actually. It'll draw our opponent some cards, but it'll draw us a card as well. And we'll keep that Rampaging Ferocidon off the field as well. And then we can start chipping away at our opponent with the Snapcaster Mage. Neheb can come out. Ooh, non-basic lands are mountains. Well, perhaps should have saved the counter for that. We do still have access to blue, luckily. And I certainly will swing into a Magus of the Moon. And our opponent will swing right back at us, I have no doubt. Well, get into a mountain, that is not the basic land that we want. But we have a Memory Lapse as well. I think just holding back with the Snapcaster Mage, if we just keep trading blows at each other, we really want to keep damage off ourselves. So I think just holding up Memory Lapse or Disallow for our opponent's Neheb is the best course of action here. Our opponent attempting a Naheb here. Going for Disallow, I think, is good just because it's the most expensive counterspell in hand. 5 cards left in our opponent's hand, and we know one of them is a Lightning Bolt. And they go for Lightning Bolt on Snapcaster. So they can start getting damage through with Magus of the Moon. But they don't have their Neheb in play, so it won't generate them any mana. Not too worried about being dealt 2 damage by Magus of the Moon every turn. We get into a basic island now then. Neheb is going to cost 4, 5, 6 mana, and that's 2, 5 and 6 mana. Do we get our Niv Mizzet out or not? I don't think they can... Yeah, I'm just going to hope that they go for their commander again next turn. And then we can counter it and hopefully put it out of reach. They're not missing land drops though, which is really difficult for us. The more land drops they make, the more likely they are to get Neheb back in play, even though we're countering it. We're just going to have to go for Niv Mizzet Parun no matter what next turn, I think. Yeah, they go for Neheb again. They have the mana floating for Swiftfoot Boots. We'll go for Memory Lapse on that. Now, if they make a land drop next turn, they can get down Neheb again, but they can't equip it up with Swiftfoot Boots. Now, the likelihood of us dealing with Neheb once it's on the field is not high, which is why I'm prioritising keeping it off the field. And they opt to put it on top of their library with Memory Lapse, which means it's definitely coming down next turn. And they will be able to equip it with the Swiftfoot Boots as well. Into the Royal, we're not going to be able to... into the Royal. I think we just have to get down Niv Mizzet Parun just for the card draw. It doesn't feel good. What I'd really like to do is into the Royal. What's going on here with this mana? There we go. Yeah, what I'd really like to do is Niv Mizzet Parun and into the Royal as well. But we don't have a counterspell in hand. We could have into the Royal for 4 mana. The Naheb might have been the right thing to do, but I don't know what we're going to draw the turn after. This Magus of the Moon has made things really awkward for us, so 4 cards in our opponent's hand, one of which is the commander. And they're going to generate some mana this turn, thanks to their commander. We might as well block it because Afflict will deal 3 damage to us, but Neheb hitting us will deal 4 damage to us, so we can try and keep them off a mana. Alright, just going for a risk factor. Target opponent may have risk factor, deal 4 damage to them. If that player doesn't, you draw 3 cards, and there's Jumpstart. That is really good in this deck. I'm going to have the damage go on Neheb, so that it's more difficult for them to swing in. Now if I block with Niv Mizzet, then Neheb will die. I'm not going to have it deal damage to us. Actually, they've only got 2 cards in hand. Yeah, I'll have us lose 4 life. And then if Neheb wants to swing in, we drew a mountain, by the way, if you didn't see that. Neheb can swing in, but they'll lose their Neheb then. And then it'll have to come out of the command zone yet again. If we can make it to our next turn into the Royal, No, they just decide to pass through. They get their 4 mana thanks to risk factor. And they can, this discard a land? No, it's discard, yeah, it's just discard any card in addition to paying its costs, and you can play this from the graveyard. Out comes Ash Zealot, another means of dealing damage to us. Alright, we get 1 damage on something here. Now then, Treasure Cruise is 8 mana. Minus 4 is 4 mana. We can go 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then 1, 2, 3 and 4 when we make a land. So we can go for Into the Royal and Treasure Cruise. Let's get rid of Ash Zealot. And then we'll play an island. And we'll go for Treasure Cruise. And we draw a card. That means that we get to ping Ash Zealot again. We get into Mana Leak, which is good. And we draw 3 cards from Niv Mizzet Parun. Now I'm just trying to work out. We'll draw a card from Into the Royal. And we'll draw a card from playing Into the Royal. That'll be 5 damage that we can dish out. Unfortunately, that's not enough for getting rid of Neheb, so we'll just have to throw this at our opponent. Yeah, that 6 toughness is really, really good on Neheb. 1 card left in our opponent's hand. We'll go for swinging in at our opponent. And our plan is to Into the Royal the Naheb. Alright, going for Swiftfoot Boots onto Neheb. So we will... it's only 4 mana to get... Yeah, so they're going to be able to afford Mana Leak. So we might as well use the Kicker on Neheb. That does cantrip a couple of times. We get Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Ping our opponent. We Into the Royal, which draws us a card, and we ping our opponent again. And now they can just recast their Neheb for 4 mana if they want to, and equip it up with a Swiftfoot Boots. So that's what they opt for. They've got 2 cards left in hand, and they can deal damage to us this turn with both of their creatures thanks to the Swiftfoot Boots. That will be 6 red mana that they'll get. 2 cards in hand. They go for risk factor again. We'll deal... Perhaps should have left Niv Mizzet Parun back. Yeah, we'll just have to ping our opponent again. Now, I don't know what the last card in our opponent's hand is. They might want to generate lots of mana to either burn us out or burn Niv Mizzet Parun. I think we'll have it deal 4 damage to us. We want to keep cards out of our opponent's hand, I think. And then in come both creatures, I imagine. And that is 10 mana, 6 from the creatures. Oh, and they go for Wheel of Fortune. This is going to pile up some damage on our opponent. Do we want our opponent to have Detection Sphere? Until end of your turn, your opponent and creature your opponent control with Hexproof lose Hexproof. Yeah, we don't care about that, so we'll kill the Magus here. We're going to draw 7 cards, which means we get to kill the Magus of the Moon, and we also deal a bunch of damage to our opponent as well. That Vandal Blast is nice, as is the Cyclonic Rift. Now the problem is, can our opponent do anything to us with 8 mana and the 7 cards that they have in hand? They get down Koth of the Hammer, and they generate a boatload more mana with the -2. That is red for each mountain you control. And they play a mountain after activating that. That might be a mistake. 5 cards left in hand and 11 mana available. Pyrokinesis. You may exile a red card rather than pay its cost. 4 damage divided as you choose amongst creatures, so they're trying to get rid of our Niv Mizzet Parun here. And then another damage is what they're looking for with the cards in their hand, down to 3. Still haven't spent any mana. And they go for Fiery Confluence. And they are destroying a couple of artifacts. And they are dealing damage to Niv Mizzet Parun. We unfortunately do not manage to draw into any free counter spells. Alright, Sword of Light and Shadow is a means of gaining life, which we do not want to see. Reforge the Soul, I'm not sure we want to see that either. Yeah, Cyclonic Rift and Vandal Blast were really nice, but we do have a bunch of lands in hand, so maybe... Okay. This is just to a creature. That's 3, 6, 7, 8. If we can get Niv Mizzet back down, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're going to struggle to do that. Runaway Steamkin comes down. Whenever you cast a red spell, if it has fewer than 3 +1/+1 counters on it, put a counter on it, and then remove counters from it to add 3 red. 6 cards in our opponent's hand. Yeah, I think we just need to try and... oh, this is tough. I need to decide if we're going to burn our opponent now and then get down Niv Mizzet next turn, or not. Getting rid of those artifacts was really good. We'll get down an island this turn. Yeah, I think we'll just hold up all this stuff. We might want to electrolyze our opponent. And we might want to abrade them as well. They had to use 2 spells to get rid of Niv Mizzet Parun, so I'm hoping if we manage to get out Niv Mizzet again, I'm hoping that they're going to really struggle to get rid of Niv Mizzet yet again. We can do 3, 6, and 8. Well, only really 3, 4, 5 damage to them. If they use a couple of spells, that would be 7. And then if we chain lightning, yeah, I don't know how well we're going to do here, but we'll play it out and see what happens. Naheb the Eternal is a really good mono red deck. Yeah, that's 4 damage from a mountain. Don't know if we're going to make it through till next turn or not. I think we have to abrade the sword here. No, just swinging in with that, so we'll go after the Sword of Light and Shadow. I thought they would swing in with a 4/4 mountain there, because they get us pretty close to being at a low life total. 5 cards left in hand. This is going to give them 4 mana. We've got 9, 10 mana available to them, even more so thanks to the Ruby Medallion. Vessel of Volatility, that is 2 and sack it to add 4 mana. Yeah, I think we just need to hold on to our burn spells for our opponent. Alright, we survive back round to our turn. We get into Blasphemous Act. How much does Neheb cost now? 5, 6, 7. Would it cost 9? Would it cost 9 to get it out of the command zone? That's 2, 4. Well, they've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, they've got more than enough to do it anyway. Yeah, I think we have to go for Niv Mizzet here. And hope, keep our fingers crossed that we survive until next turn. because if we do, I'm quietly confident that we can burn them out. Okay, adding red for that would be 8 red from Koth. They opt to kill Koth, so I'm guessing that they are going for something really big here. All creatures lose indestructible. 5 damage to each creature. Yeah, they're going to get us on this one, I think. We'll just point it at our opponent. Unfortunately, draw into our counterspell, but it's not something that we can cast. They might get cocky and cast something else on the stack, or a couple of things they'd need to. No, they're just opting to kill the runaway Steamkin. So they do 5 damage to our Niv Mizzet Parun. And unless we can get into more burn, we're still stuck at 3/6, 7/8. So we need another burn spell if we want to have any chance. Ponder. Well, we can look at 3 cards. I doubt we're going to find anything. We'll just have to shuffle those away. We do want to shuffle. Yeah, we don't get into anything. And a Blasphemous Act won't do anything for us. We can try to Electrolyze and draw a card from that. Yeah, search for Azcanta. Yeah, it's all too little too late. Chain Lightning. Yeah, Chain Lightning. We couldn't keep the chain going because they can kill us before we can kill them. Yep, so they deal 3 to us. That could have been an out for us, actually. I wonder if we could have done something with that. No, I don't think so, because had we have put another lightning bolt on the stack here, they could have done it back to us and killed us before we got to lightning bolt them. Yeah, because theirs would resolve before ours, so it's a no anyway. And we'll go for a lightning bolt. Get our opponent down to 2. And we'll call it a day at that. Unfortunately, just wasn't our game, but it was a good game nonetheless. Good back and forth. These are exactly the type of games that I like to get going. And our opponent's Naheb deck is very good. Hopefully they'll just swing in here. They certainly do. So we'll throw up the good game to them. And we will take the damage like a champ. Yeah, so that was a good game to our opponent. That was Neheb the Eternal. Well, if I didn't tell you, I don't remember what happened at the beginning of the game now, but if I didn't tell you that this was a good commander, hopefully you realise it by now. Neheb the Eternal against Niv Mizzet Parun. Just didn't get enough burn on towards the end there, and our opponent successfully dealt with our Niv Mizzet Parun. It was looking dicey for our opponent for a little while there, and I wonder if we hadn't opted to kill the Magus of the Moon. Yeah, we would have actually won that game, wouldn't we? And I don't think Magus of the Moon dying was actually all that imperative to us. So, you live and you learn, but maybe our opponent would have made different decisions if Magus of the Moon was still in play. So, who knows? Hope you all enjoyed that nonetheless. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.